Well, jeepers! You're listening to Smash or Pass with JayBee, Millie.
Today, as always, we are joined by Rihanna.
Hello!
So, in today's episode, we are going to be reviewing Scooby Doo meets the Boo Brothers. Now, I think it's fair to say this is one that we've all seen quite a few times because it was quite iconic. It's one of the ones that's been around for the longest. And I guess if you've not seen it for a while, the best summary I can kind of offer for the plot of this one is Shaggy's about to inherit his uncle's estate. So him alongside Scooby and Scrappy travel to the estate to kind of see what there is. When they get to the estate, it turns out that it's haunted by, there's real ghosts, there's unmaskings, there's JayBee looking at me and I'm kind of wondering where I'm going wrong with this plot.
No, it's alright. It's just a weird plot. They just arrive there and chaos breaks loose, essentially.
There's literally everything you can imagine. There's the sheriff, there's circus animals, there's ghosts, real and not real. There's Scrappy, there's trapdoors, there's clues, there's treasures, there's headless horsemen, there's skeletons, and it's a wonderful culmination of all these different things that ultimately gets relatively well resolved and made peaceful by the end.
I'm nervous.
As they follow along these clues to find what it is Shaggy's been left in the will.
Given, the movie that we're reviewing, it is very likely that this could be someone's first time listening. So I'm nervous, so welcome if this is your first time listening. You don't get spoilers for this movie because it came out in 1987 and that's dead old now. And I wasn't even alive then, so if you've not seen it, watch it. What says you, Millie? Were you alive when this movie came out?
No.
How old were you?
I was minus 11.
Jeez. That makes me feel weird. But, I don't know.
Now, see, something I enjoy about this is instantly you get that, I feel like this was Scooby when it was aimed at an older audience, maybe more teenage-based. Whereas now I think they've made it more open to so many age groups. Whereas, I just feel like from the opening scene, there was this will floating, and I'm sure it said, the uncle bequeaths these things to Shaggy Rogers, and I was just like...
Bequeath.
Okay, this is... At least for this opening sequence.
It is spooky, but...
the titles were spooky.
The soundtrack, though, I got so many memories flooding back from watching this on, a massive cassette player, and, the kind of... I love it. I love it a lot. It might be one of my favourite parts of the film, actually, but... I don't know. How do you start with this? I feel like I'm doing this for the first time. I guess we should just start by going into the opening. So, I think it opened a lot like an episode of the 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo, in that there's almost a bit of a haiku or a bit of a poem that a narrator is saying about the Boo Brothers, oh, if I met the Boo Brothers, I'd be a bit scared, which is setting them up as the main villain, which in actual fact... they're kind of just a group of nerds, really, but it reminded me of the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo quite a lot.
It's definitely around, similar to that era feel. Did you enjoy the titles, Rihanna?
I did. I absolutely loved them, and I got the same with JayBee. It was with the music, the soundtrack, it just took me back because it's the same song that, instrumental that is used in quite a few of the older Scooby-Doos. And I've watched this movie so many times. I think I've watched it at least once a year. And I always get chills with the intro. And when you were mentioning about the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, but I think this movie is set straight after the 13 Ghosts because, Shaggy's still wearing his red shirt, blue jeans, and all of it, was first seen in the TV series, 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. So I think this, straight after, and as we get into the movie, there's quite a lot of like little hints at the 13 Ghosts. So I don't know if it came just before or after 13 Ghosts, but they're definitely teasing something. But with the whole floating will, and then we had the witch telling the poem, and it was spooky because back then, I mean, we saw bullets, we saw guns, they mentioned death, which they don't do nowadays really. It's basically forbidden in a lot of kids shows. And seeing that, it was like we went back to a different era of Scooby, which I adore.
Yeah, and I think again, like with the kind of darker theme, a little bit like the Zombie Island era, I almost feel like the limitations of the animation, like the technology, makes it seem a bit grittier as well. Because even like looking back at this, I admired how they animated the rain, just because it made it like, I think now they'd make the rain seem almost too purposeful, like it would look almost too nice and friendly, whereas this, it was just like little dashes of white, and that made it seem like the screen seem a bit more chaotic, a bit busier, and I did like it a lot. And I think, like you said, Scooby's definitely gone completely over to the realm as being a kids thing for kids, rightfully so, I guess. Like no one's expecting it to be like hard-hitting drama, but this is like definitely the era of, like, I could watch this now, and it's got some things. Actually, there's quite a lot watching this time that I never picked up watching it initially as a kid, but that's probably its own weird discussion.
Okay, so this as well was back in the era when Scrappy was allowed in Scooby Doo. So this is back before Velma could say what is a Scrappy, because she wasn't there to say it.
Oh, see, that's the best thing already. The fact that, like, for a couple of weeks I get away from the terror that is Kate McCucci's voice.
Oh my gosh. Wait, we don't go back to that, do we?
I
No.
hope not.
You've done it.
Yeah,
until we do the series, but you've done it.
Until the next movie comes out.
Speaking of voices, though, this is, I believe, the first and only movie of Scooby Doo that doesn't have Frank Welker anywhere.
Yeah, I think you're right, because even in Ghoul School, I think they play matches. The little lizard thing.
Oh, Dragon! I love him.
Oh, I can't wait to
talk about that.
Yeah, let's just sack off Boo Brothers and let's just switch over to Ghoul School.
Boo Brothers is amazing. Don't doubt it yet.
It is. So, like we said, the gang kind of. When I say the gang, it's an entirely different group now.
Whose idea was it to get rid of Daphne? They need to be fired. Actually, no, they're probably dead. I can't say that.
Oh
Rest
my
in
gosh,
peace.
JayBee.
Respect.
I think should that be cut out with the whole they should be fired thing in death?
No, because they probably are dead, aren't they?
Oh gosh. Okay.
It's 87.
So, Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy are going to see, the ancestral home of Shaggy's uncle. So they're kind of going along in their little car, which it's no mystery machine, but it's quite fun, the little truck they've got, right?
What even is it? Because even thinking back to the later movies, I remember them being in that kind of red van. So what is this? And I don't understand what this is. Like, I don't hate it, but I don't know why they'd get rid of the mystery machine.
I think because the mystery machine was this being the first. It is the first Scooby Doo movie, animation movie as well, isn't it? I think, which I think is also why this movie is so chaotic. So, like, let's just see what we can do. Throw this in, throw that in. Let's test the limits. But I think what it is that at this time they were potentially building up to some, like, with Zombie Island, because it comes before Zombie Island. So if the Scooby timeline, we always talk about it being so weird and messed up. You can watch Scooby movies in any order, but there's like the Loch Ness Monster followed by Chill Out Scooby Doo goes really well because they've got characters that cross over. But I think with this, it was possibly because I'm just theoretizing. Theoretizing, is that a word? This, but potentially Daphne and Fred were doing Coast to Coast with Daphne Blake, and you know, they had the Mystery Machine, so Shaggy was experimenting, was like, okay, I can afford a golf cart type truck thing. And then, you know, in Reluctant Werewolf and Ghoul School, he like upgrades to something. But I don't quite know why they didn't have the Mystery Machine. I miss it.
Yeah, I do like the idea that they're doing Coast to Coast, but then I kind of feel like when Daphne is so desperate to see real ghosts, Shaggy and Scooby would go like, oh, we'll call the Boo Brothers, like, oh, we'll go to this house. There's definitely real ghosts there, but there's another weird theory that all the red shirt Shaggy stuff is like part of like the computer game made by the guy from the Cyber Chase, but I don't know how much I believe that. But I like it.
It's interesting. So they're in this new little car, they're reading the map to try and find their way to this house, and then they turn down this creepy little lane, and that's kind of the start of the chaos, I want to say. So they were going along here, they're a bit worried they're going the wrong way, and then the car crashes. Shaggy's head gets stuck through the steering wheel, and Scooby somehow ends up in the engine. And it's just a bit, it's fun, it's a bit crazy. And then we see the first signs of what could be a villain, in that Scrappy and Scooby get out to push the car, and then we see this huge ape. Is it an ape? A gorilla?
I don't know what it is. I've written that it's a gorilla, but I've no clue, even now, after watching the movie again, what this gorilla is, because they say that there's an escaped gorilla, and then they say that there's a fake stuffed gorilla, but then they say that there's a ghost of the stuffed gorilla. So I've no clue what this gorilla is.
Well, I think he's an escapee from the zoo who just wants a friend. And just wants to have fun out of captivity. That's my impression, and I just wanted to give him a hug from the get-go. I was like, he just wants a friend.
I wanted to punch its light out. Like,
oh, JayBee.
It's just a creepy thing. Like,
it's so cute.
I don't know how I'm not on the same. It's a weird looking thing, and it annoyed me.
It gets really sad. There's so many times when it's just sat there. Even Scrappy, who the world hates, is like, I feel like it just needs a friend. It's probably here because it's lonely. Even Scrappy gets it. What type of heartless monster are you?
Well, I'd knock its block off. It's freaky. No! It's so freaky.
JayBee!
I think to explain JayBee's like 3 gorilla theory, they say there's one that's escaped from the zoo, which I think is the circus, which I think is the one that we see. You see the stuffed gorilla one because the real gorilla kind of stands behind it. And then I think even if there was a ghost, we know it's not this one because the Boo Brothers kind of exhibit that you can't touch a ghost. And he lifts them out of a hole in the end, so it's got to be real.
Yeah.
So
I'm just confused.
Circus escapee, and it's cute.
Well, if it is escaped from the circus, then I feel sorry for it, because I'm pretty sure that's outlawed now, isn't it?
It is,
so
I think.
It's probably seen a lot. So big up the gorilla.
Okay, so then we see the introduction of the sheriff, because he's like chasing Shaggy and Scooby and Scrappy, and then he sees Scooby's driving and he's a bit like, oh, what's going on? So yeah, that's the sheriff. JayBee, what do you think of the sheriff?
I reckon they're a racist sheriff. They sound racist, and you know what? I like their design. They remind me a bit of Officer Wembley from the Cyber Chase. But
yeah,
I think there's a lot going on. Like there's the sheriff, which we don't often see in hindsight, apart from like the sheriff trilogy and whatnot, like law enforcement actively getting involved in the storylines. But you've got the sheriff going on, you've got the gorilla, and then in a while there's going to be like 2 different
Oh, there's going to be a lot coming on. It's crazy. Did you have any kind of first impressions of the sheriff, Rihanna?
Okay, so me and the sheriff, we go way back, and by way back, I mean all the way back to the first time I watched it when I was an itty bitty little child. So even back then, I'm pretty sure my mom told me this story once. First time watching it, turned around and I said, I don't trust him. I think he's a fake cop and I think he's just trying to like do something. So I've never trusted him. And yeah, he's a pretty interesting character, quite chaotic, and he's entertaining in some ways, but at the same time, I just never trusted him. And I think me having watched it so much and having seen it since like I was a really little child, kind of like watching it back, I knew what was going to happen, even though I didn't fully realize what was actually going to happen. I just said something and then it happened. So I guess that kind of explains me and the sheriff's relationship. But we go way back. Like we're pals, I think.
I think I was very much in the same kind of camp as you as a kid. I think though, being a person of color, I'm trained to not trust law enforcement. But that's a different story. That's a different story. What about you, Millie? Did you love the sheriff?
I just think they're quite funny. And I think as the story progresses, they just become more funny, especially when they meet. And I know we're skipping ahead like a few points here, but especially when they meet Billy.
Oh, gosh.
Yes!
Oh, Billy.
I feel like those two had some underlying rivalry to begin with. Like, Billy was a trouble-causing teen in the town.
Oh, the
and
police
the sheriff
officer,
was like, no.
The police officer, 1,000,000,000% smashed Billy's sister. Like...
Okay, let's fast forward.
That's headcanon.
We're skipping over this.
That's headcanon. Don't let anyone tell you differently.
So the sheriff says that the house is haunted. But regardless, Scrappy's kind of like, oh, come on, you need to do this, let's go. Scrappy's the brave one. And they continue down the road. The road kind of clears and then you see a graveyard that they need to drive through. And then it's kind of like... I almost want to say you almost feel like you're in a montage scene of like Scooby villains because there's a ghost at every corner. There's a headless horseman. There's like another ghost that has yellow eyes. Then there's a wolf that has yellow eyes. There's a skeleton. And they're all basically just saying to get out. So... Rihanna, how did you feel with this scene with all the kind of different villains popping up?
I'm trying to remember my first ever reaction because although to be honest, my reaction now is very similar to how it was back then. I feel where I was like kind of freaked out. I was like, oh gosh, what's actually going? Is there multiple ghosts? Like, what is going on here? And I was freaking out. And I watched it again today and I was still a little bit freaked out. And I was like, there's so much going on. Do I have to look out for multiple people? Because, as the movie goes on, we get more and more suspects. And I was like, okay, should I keep my eye on this one, that one, the other? So all listed up. But at the same time, as a little off note, having watched Supernatural, you should never trust anything with yellow eyes. It's evil.
Even the Green Goblin had yellow eyes.
I think that's a good principle for life, is not to trust yellow eyes. But
unless they've got liver failure or something, because then do trust them and feel sorry for them.
Unless it's a woman, because you should always believe women.
You'll learn. Not always in Supernatural, JayBee.
I mean, episode 1, he's got to have learned that, right?
I mean...
One thing I find with this is there's more villains than there are characters to fill the roles of the villains.
Yeah, this is literally like the 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo all at once. There must be at least 13, like, just in this opening... And maybe in terms of adversaries, right? Because the police is just on their tail. So there's the police...
The ape.
The
Headless Horseman.
The wolf. The...
Skeleton.
The one that's
the ghost of his relative.
Oh, we're at Farquaad. Do they count?
There's the clothes that just fly around that stole the diamond in the end.
Yeah.
Like,
The dancing pants.
Then the three Boo brothers. We're nearing the 13
Jeez.
Ghosts of Scooby Doo for this one movie.
What the heck?
And I mean, you do see the chest in the attic.
Exactly.
Maybe this is what started it.
Maybe it's actually secretly Shaggy's related to Vincent van Gogh.
Oh.
Maybe Shaggy's related to Vincent van Gogh.
Shaggy's related to everybody. How many stories do we need about Shaggy's ancestors?
There's not enough. We still need more.
I just feel like he's got a bigger family than I do, and for JayBee, he feels the pain of me having a big family.
I wanted Casey Kasem to be Shaggy's dad more often, more than just in Mystery Incorporated. I think we needed a good movie just featuring Casey Kasem as Daddy Shaggy. That would have been elite. That's what I want to do.
Can I say one thing that I do like that I feel in a lot of Scooby movies, you know, we obviously see Shaggy, Scooby being, you know, the scaredy cats, and Scrappy being very much, hey, let's just charge towards them. But I feel like we saw another side of Shaggy in this, where even though he was scared, at the same time he was like, he freaked out a heck of a lot, but he was also very, he was brave more than I thought he would be. Like, he was scared of the ape. He was scared of some, like, the monsters that showed up, but at the same time, he could have very easily picked Scrappy up, and, you know, Scooby would have followed and be like, okay, we are leaving, we're not staying here, even before, like, the car sank and everything. He could have just, like, turned around, but he didn't. And I feel like we saw something a little bit different in Shaggy.
Yeah, Shaggy's character certainly seems a bit braver in this one.
Which is weird because he doesn't want the house, does he? He doesn't really want the treasure too much. At least not at the start.
That being said, but I think it's really fun that we're doing this back to back with Courage, because firstly it's like, okay, this is the most recent one and now this is the oldest one, see the contrast, but also because riddles were a big part of Courage for, like, Velma's character. And they're a big part of this one as well, because they need to solve the riddles to find the diamonds and stuff. Because ultimately, when they arrive at the house, they meet the creepy butler, and then they find out that the jewels are going to be hidden all the way around the estate.
To save me, let's just ban the word Velma from the foreseeable.
Yeah, you've got a few movies break. So Rihanna, you've always been a good judge of character. How did you feel about the creepy butler?
I mean, you should never trust a butler, you know. Unless it's Batman's butler, then yeah, no, trust Alfred. But, you know, I was like, I got Hunchback of Notre Dame kind of vibes, first of all. But I feel like from the get-go, he was very much, I've been working for this dude for ages. I barely get paid. Like, I need something.
Welcome to the working world.
But I kind of felt sorry for him, but I was also like, okay, he's also very antisocial. So I could relate to him slightly. It's like, oh gosh, more people. Do I have to work for you, like for you, Shaggy, until you die? Like, come on.
Kind of like
So I
he's
feel
a
like
house
he was a
elf
bit
from Harry
frustrated.
Potter.
He's just
Yeah.
Like, he's getting passed along with the house.
He's just a dog's body, isn't he? I don't know what his issue is, because he shows up like being the creepiest person, and we're like, hello there, Shaggy, and it was just like, what's the need? I'd be terrified. Maybe, well, I guess that's the goal.
To scare him away.
They clearly do want the treasure. They feel like they should even own the house. But I don't know why. Like, I guess they've been there for a while. But
I feel like, because when you look at in history, you're born into positions like that. And I don't mean it in a bad way or anything, but, you know, when you're a butler or something, usually your parents were also the butler or the maid or something for that household. And, you know, they called the mansion so many different names. So they called it what did they call it? I wrote it down. Where did I write it? Sorry. They called it the Beauregard's house. Beauregard, am I saying it right? Beauregard?
Is it like Violet
Plantation.
Beauregard?
Beauregard. Is that it?
Beauregard. Bo.
I don't know.
Well, they called it a house, plantation, manor, and mansion. So, it's obviously been there for ages. Big family. So I feel like he's just been born into this position and it's a guaranteed job. So he was born into working as a butler. He was trained to work as a butler. He doesn't know anything different. And he probably wasn't expecting some random skinny dude to show up with 2 of his dogs and be like, hey, I'm inheriting this house and all this fortune. He was probably thinking, okay, he's probably got no relatives left, which means it automatically goes to me. I have a secure house. I can do whatever I want. I don't have to work for anyone. And all of a sudden they show up and it's like, oh, okay, back to square one. I feel like that kind of went through his mind, and he seemed, I mean, I'm fast forwarding again throughout the movie, but he seemed very happy once he got the diamond. He was like, I can afford stuff. I'm happy,
Huh. I kind of get that. So is he like a thing then, essentially? Like, would Shaggy, if Shaggy was to stay in the house, or would Shaggy almost inherit the guy?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And also back in the olden days, with butlers and things, their pay was literally having clean clothes, a warm house, a bed to sleep in, and food. That was their payment. They didn't get paid in money, basically. So, and I mean, it depends on when the actual movie is based timeline-wise, but I feel like, it's kind of set in the old-timely kind of era where people didn't really get paid for being a butler, if that makes sense.
I want to get
They're
a
just
butler now.
Well, you have to pay them actual money nowadays.
Yeah, it's a different world, JayBee.
Well, that's a spanner to my plan. I thought I could just have one and just give them a bed, but no.
It's like a slavery act and everything now. You need to treat people respectfully.
Oh.
Sorry.
You have to treat people respectfully.
Okay, so when Shaggy gets to the house, he clearly works out that it's creepy, haunted, and they try to leave, but the ape's kind of outside, so they're going to be a common theme throughout. The sheriff arrives to say they're looking for the gorilla that escaped from the circus. And then I want to talk about this. So Scooby sees, I can't remember, I think it was a ghost, and goes pale. And it literally just looks like they didn't colour that part of the image in.
Maybe that's how they did it. Like, it was...
Well, I'm guessing that is how they did it, but I just thought it was, like, quite a stark animation.
Surely this is all hand-drawn, right?
Yeah, it's all hand-drawn and painted. And I actually, I think it was on eBay, found some cells from this movie, so...
Oh. Let's see how much
JayBee's literally just picked his phone up now.
No, because
they're
this is
well
taking
over
me back
600.
to...
And there's also some signed ones, by the way, but they're
Signed by
over
who?
1,000. Bob Singer, I think. There was some from, like, The Witch's Ghost.
Who the heck is Bob Singer?
I think it's...
Oh! Scooby Doo production, animation, Cellar, Boo Brothers. Anna B. Singer signed. 316 Bob. Huh. Oh, then that's the only one I can find. To be fair, that isn't that much, right? In the grand scheme of things.
JayBee, we need to talk about you and money.
Although...
I'm sorry, Millie. I shouldn't have said anything.
I reckon any of these cells without Daphne, though, shouldn't be worth anything. I'd wipe my bum with this.
What, you wouldn't make a Funko Pop out of this one?
Nah. It's a waste of... I mean, no, we do need Red Shirt Shaggy Funko Pop, though. That's something we absolutely need. In fact, I hope that that's the next one that comes out. But, nah. That ain't it. I'm afraid.
Okay, great. So, Scrappy finds a ring on the floor saying, for my nephew Shaggy. And the butler's dropped it, so Scrappy's like, okay, we need to be a bit suspicious of the butler and also the treasures out there to be found. The car sinks, so there's now no way of them leaving. And I think, like, Rihanna was saying, like, Shaggy, like, diving in after it kind of shows character.
I don't
JayBee?
even know where this is. Where is this cast sinking? Because I wrote everything down.
It's sinking outside the house.
in quicksand.
Wait, so is this
It's like quicksand.
is it before or after that hooker shows up?
Before.
Way before, and she's not a hooker, JayBee.
What is she?
Oh my gosh. She's a lonely girl.
What do you mean a lonely girl?
A girl who just wants someone to love her and want her because, you know, her brother's gone around shooting everyone who goes near her.
Oh, that's a weird dynamic.
It is a very strange one.
How do you even get guns?
So ultimately it's decided the car can't be retrieved till the next day, so they need to stay there overnight. So they get shown to this like big bedroom for the Scrappy, Scooby and Shaggy, and then they're like, oh, the butler's trying to scare us because the candle won't blow out and that kind of thing. And then the ghost of an uncle on his bike like comes through the room going, leave this place.
Leave this place.
Penny farthing.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
It's good, and it's like, it definitely kind like, that was the ghost I was most interested in, because obviously the skeleton one doesn't have any reason to why there's a skeleton there. Same with the horseman, whereas obviously for it to be the ghost of a relative kind of makes more sense.
They also look a bit like the ghost from Zombie Island that appears in the mirror.
See, with the I picked up on the same. I was like, he looked like the ghost from Zombie Island in the mirror and everything. But I also noticed with the skeleton, he reminded me so much, you know, in Monster of Mexico.
Mr. Smiley.
And also the headless horseman, wasn't he in what's it called? The Goblin King.
Yes, because they were looking for the head, who was the jack-o'-lantern. And I think they were
So
also in the Lego movie.
Yeah, and I feel like they, in those movies, had done like a little homage to the first step. And I've noticed this in a lot of the Scooby Doo movies. There's small references to the Boo Brothers in the most minuscule way, especially as, you know, time goes on. But I think it's like they want to keep that small Easter egg of the first ever Scooby Doo animated movie.
It's just so weird to me how, like, there's so many almost real ghosts here, and they do weird ghostly things, and now thinking about modern day Scooby, there's just...
Like, it can't be real, it's marsh gas. No. Velma, just no.
I also just realised this is it's the first and last until Zombie Island where we actually see ghosts, monsters that are unmasked. Because until Zombie Island, the rest of them are real monsters.
Yeah, that's true. What would we have coming? We've got...
Ghoul School, Reluctant Mile of Arabian Nights.
Oh gosh. There's a bit of a journey there. That's actually kind of nice. I like that. So...
It'll be
I've
fun.
got the Aladdin song stuck in my head.
So the car sinks. There's some dancing pants, floating arms.
We're now up to Shaggy calling the ghost exterminators, and the Boo Brothers come through the telephone.
And what are they called? They're called Shrieko, Freako, and...
Screeker.
That's something.
Did you see the Ghostbusters advert in the book?
I don't think I did, but I'm ashamed of myself for not.
There was a small little like just under where they have the Boo Brothers number, there was a Ghostbusters reference. It was the logo.
I need to rewatch this movie already.
I think it's only right that there would be like a Ghostbusters reference when they're looking for literal Ghostbusters.
I mean, you'd think so, because this is around about Ghostbusters time, right? In fact, I think on a episode a while ago, Smash was talking about how the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo was a response to the success of Ghostbusters. And so what Rihanna was saying, that this kind of was the next thing on from 13 Ghosts, maybe they're still trying to like capitalize on that a bit. I don't know when the sequel came out there.
That's quite possible. And I like how the Boo Brothers arrive like through the telephone. I think it's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I like them a
So
lot.
much
Especially because, you know, like when I do a phone call with my mum, because my mum's a few hours away, if she's doing something, say she's eating something and she'd think I'd like it, she's always like, oh, I wish I could just pass it through the phone to you. Or like stuff like that. So I just feel like for stuff to be coming through the phone, it's quite fun.
Do you guys not stop scoffing when you're on the phone?
No.
It's a bit gross. Actually, I'm hungry now. Why did you do that?
Sorry, JayBee.
One of these days, though, we are gonna like be able to communicate like that. I think we are gonna like be able to pass each other.
Like
things.
3D printing, isn't it?
Oh yes. Why don't we do that? I think we're born in the wrong time period. Not as old as this though, but then again, I am liking what they're setting up, because the kind of construct of Scooby, Shaggy, Scrappy in a haunted house with paranormal exterminators is a good premise in and of itself. So I am enjoying it, and again, I have seen this a lot of times, but kind of just looking back at it with fresh eyes, I'm at least intrigued, to say the least.
See, now they focus on a lot of character building for the ghosts, so just like an entire scene of craziness where the three ghosts blend together to almost form a cloud. Shaggy's falling down from the roof and they stretch one out as a trampoline, and then Shaggy falls straight through it. There's a lot of fun character buildings. I guess, JayBee, what do you think to the ghosts? Do you like them? Do you have a favourite?
I like them a lot. I just don't know why they've got this weird obsession with like hurting each other. It's like every time that like one of them says something, I go, that made my face feel weird, and then the other one would go, how does this make your face feel? And they would just punch them in the face. It's like, why don't these guys like each other? I don't know what they're doing.
What about you, Rihanna? Did you have any first impressions of the ghosts?
I did. I really loved them. I thought they were really funny. They reminded me a lot of the Three Stooges, and you know, especially in the Scooby Doo movies, we see the Three Stooges. You know, Scooby Doo meets the Three Stooges, and I feel like, especially with the little mini ghost, remind me a lot of Dingbat from that. So I just really, I enjoyed them, and I thought, okay, they were going to, you know, do weird and wacky stuff. They're probably going to mess things up for Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy. One thing I picked up on is at one stage, I don't know if it's the first scene, but Frico ends up speaking with Shriko's voice at one point. During like he's saying hide in there, no, in here, like moment. They mess up with the voices, which I thought was really funny, because, you know, we don't know if they did it on purpose, because ghosts can, you know, manipulate voices and stuff, or it was just a pure accident in animation and they don't want to re-record because it's costly. But I noticed that happened. But I honestly, even though I've watched it so many times, I still really enjoy them, and they make me smile. I'm confused over the whole, hey, I'm like, you know, as JayBee said with the whole face thing, it confuses me, but at the same time, it's like they act like they are actually brothers, and it's such a warming experience, because, you know, we see like in Casper, with his uncles, you know, the three of them, they're close, but they're mean to each other at the same time. I feel like it's kind of a mixture of the Three Stooges plus Casper's uncles in some ways. So yeah.
No, it's really fun. I do like their dynamic a lot. And then as that kind of scene's progressing and kind of wrapping up, Scrappy opens the door to Daisy May, which JayBee's already alluded to.
Yeah, she's some woman with unrequited desires, I guess.
So she literally just comes in, sees Shaggy and starts dancing. Then I believe the gorilla tries to dance with Scooby, and Scooby's like, no, and at that, like, no, and like runs away. And at that point, I'm like, oh no, the gorilla just wants friends. That was so cute. It was just trying to be friends with Scooby. Why is Scooby bullying him?
Well,
At this point, I actually think in this movie, I like the gorilla more than I like Scooby.
this is ridiculous though, because
Yeah.
so many people are just rocking up. So there's this woman that starts dancing and screaming, and then this hillbilly comes out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, Billy Bob just comes in and points a gun at Shaggy.
Like the most stereotypical like hillbilly theme tune as well. It's like Moo Moo Meadows from Mario Kart. Dun, 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 dun,
Oh, gosh.
dun, dun.
They're
Sorry.
playing, I think it's Catch the Pigeon, is what the song's called.
Oh, it's an actual song. I assume they just like given this guy a theme tune.
No, it's so it's as oh, am I thinking of the wrong bit? 'Cause before they start dancing is where they're chasing the little cute ghosty thing, and then they all start dancing with that bit. And as they're chasing, it's called Chase the Pigeon or Catch the Pigeon, and it's an actual song, and it was playing all throughout that bit, which my mum mentioned the song to me today, and I was like, I knew I'd heard it before because it turns out I learned it on keyboard and violin at one stage. So yeah, but I just feel really sorry for the gorilla. But I'm not at the stage where I like the gorilla more than Scooby. Scooby owns my heart. So Millie, be careful what you say.
Yeah, Millie.
Oh my gosh, JayBee.
JayBee, don't you look
You
for an
also have to
excuse? I kind of felt sorry for Shaggy in this movie as well, because there's one point when he's literally just stuck between the ghost of his ancestor going, leave this place, and Billy Bob trying to shoot him.
I can't tell. Has the woman and their approach to Shaggy, has that aged good or bad? Because I want to say it's like feminism and empowerment to be confident and go after what you want. But at the same time, I think, especially in the hay later on, Shaggy's getting full-blown molested by this woman. Like, Shaggy gets molested in this movie.
I do feel for Shaggy.
Yeah, it's very, like you said, it's very unrequited, their kind of actions and feelings.
What was the need for this? I understand what it... No, I don't even understand. Why were they added in? Like, what story element does it give us? Was it to, like, increase runtime?
I'm gonna say that they just had so many ghosts, it was kind of like we need some characters that they could be.
Well, then, no, that's true, like, potential suspects. Because then
The
they
issue
don't
is
have a
with
motive.
with how obsessed she was with Shaggy, it would be like, okay, if she was the ghost, we would tell because she would be protecting him from everything and anything and trying to just kidnap him to kiss him.
Yeah, whereas if it was the brother, it's kind of like they're actively being so threatening anyway, they don't need to dress up to be threatening to him.
Yeah, true. If they
Yeah.
got a gun,
Didn't make sense. Like,
why do they need to
if they're
hide?
happy, yeah, like you're saying, if they're happy to show their face and shoot him, then they don't need to disguise themselves as anything. So yeah, it's a bit strange, but Daisy May was like, turns to her brother and she's like, I'm gonna marry him. It's like, no, you're not. She's about as crazy as Velma is by the end of Return to Zombie Island. Like, it's just not good.
I think they went backwards though. Why replace Daphne and even Velma, and then the only female character we get in this movie is a full-blown molester?
It just keeps getting more like crazy and more stuff thrown in there. So they decide they're going to spend the night looking for diamonds, and they're in the kitchen, and then all of a sudden bats start flying around, and it's just like, how much stuff do you want to throw in? But okay, we've got the bats. Then it sounds like there's another monster in the fridge, and it turns out to just be the ghosts. But it's just it's a very busy movie. I think that's the one word I'd use.
Yeah, it's like a glitch in the Matrix. Just everything just pours in for them. It's like the House of Horror. It's weird, but oddly enough, I'm not having a bad time. I'm enjoying everything that they're kind of doing, even though some of it I'm just like, what the heck? Like, what's the goal of this? What's the purpose? I'm definitely enjoying everything at the moment, really. Even though it's getting a bit like kind of round and round in circles like a teddy bear. I'm there for it.
Okay, so they find the first jewel in the fridge and have a clue to follow for the next one. And I kind of enjoy these clues. JayBee and I were trying to solve them together, seeing if we remembered them. The first one was to have then the part of the house that has its knee out, which is the chimney. So they try and like get onto the roof to find a diamond up there. Throughout this, they've been followed by a shadow, and then the skeleton turns up. Yeah, Billy Boy just trying to like shoot Shaggy.
It's a ridiculous movie. Because even once they solve the chimney riddle, a skeleton just pops out the chimney. Like it's been hiding up there the entire time, just waiting to spring out.
And then Shaggy's just hanging off the roof. And then Billy Bob shows up and starts shooting the sheriff. Like one bullet goes straight through the hat. Then one like cuts his belt in half.
Did we ever find out what beef the guy has with Shaggy? Because it isn't just the sister thing. At the start, they're like, "Oh no, it's another Beauregard." Like, what are we like? What's the beef there? Is it just like
presumably it's like
farmer,
like a land thing? Maybe like they had more land than him.
It's at that stage where she says about the Beauregard plantation, so that could be a little like hint as to a family feud kind of thing. That, and also he had a whole load of like cousins and relatives hidden in the woods, like in the street. So I take it they must have like possibly taken the land from them, and they're trying to reclaim it in some ways. I'm not too sure, but. Or, you know, something happened between good old Beauregard and, you know, his sister.
The sister just seems like the countryside bicycle. I think everyone's had to go on her.
Oh, God.
My gosh. Did you have to phrase it like that?
It's just, I think the ghosts. That's why
If
there's
you are
so
mentioning
many.
a bicycle in this movie, it has to be the ancestors' penny farthing bike.
That's why there's so many ghosts there. They're probably all our ex-boyfriends that have just went and
JayBee.
died.
Billy Bob's hunted them all down.
Yeah, well, he's got a gun. Maybe maybe Billy Bob killed Shaggy's uncle.
I mean, that's plausible, to be honest. But seriously, like, did you really have to phrase it how you did? Because that makes it very much like, is this review PG? Is it PG-13 now? Because you've mentioned what you did.
Well, the movie is a bit older, isn't it? It's not like the Mystery Map. But this is an older movie.
It's a you though.
And if people are watching this, actually, full respect, because this is an OG one. And I think if you've watched this, like kids nowadays aren't going to watch this, are they? Because they're so.
I'm going to make my child watch it.
Some kids can
Me
be so
too.
snobs of like if things aren't up to date or if things aren't looking bright and happy and stuff. I think that's why a lot of the newer films are kind of dumbed down a bit. But oh my god, I don't know.
Okay, we're continuing on with the plot now. So, on his quest to shoot Shaggy, Billy Bob's gun
His quest to
breaks,
shoot Shaggy.
and he ends up leaving a trail of gunpowder and blowing himself up.
I mean, that's.
It's like classic Looney Tunes.
It's
He's an idiot though. He's. Oh my god! Like this Billy Bob actually, he's a legend, but he's a freak. Like this guy.
oh
This guy
no!
has opened his sister's room at night more than he's opened a book.
Okay, shut up, JayBee, please.
Oh my god!
He's a freak. He's a pervert.
JayBee, please.
The OG Scooby pervert, this guy.
JayBee, you can't say things like that.
Not okay. Okay, so
I mean, are we disputing that he's clearly in love with his sister? Like, can we at least agree on that?
No. I think he's just a really protective brother. I don't think there's anything else going on. I think, JayBee, you're possibly reading too much into it.
you've got your mind just goes to some places that it's not meant to go to. I think.
No, stop it, because you agree with me. I know you do.
You think everyone agrees with you?
No.
I
Very
mean,
few people.
you think everyone
Very few
everyone
people
thinks
agree with
Daphne is the best character, JayBee, and
No,
I'm
they
not-
don't, and it's Linda Cardellini's fault. But I respect her, because that's the only Velma That's the only Velma that can even enter the if it wasn't for, actually we'll get to that, but if it wasn't for Linda Cardellini, I'll say the Velma fans would decrease by 80%. But that's a testament to her. She's done well.
The first 2 live action Velmas were very good, but obviously that's a discussion for a few episodes time.
Don't you like the third live action Velma?
I think it's a different interpretation and they do it well.
Well, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Very diplomatic. I can be a politician. What's
I'd
next?
vote for you.
Yay! That's one.
You get off me.
JayBee, what's your next point?
The gorilla starts shooting.
So I got that we're now up to clue 2, which is a broken key. And so Scrappy at this point has like been a bit brave. They bite off part of the cape. They make it to the piano, and then that opens up another passage. Then I was about to think there was another ghost appeared, but it turned out to be one of the Boo brothers that can all of a sudden shine lights. And then we get that headlight joke where they literally turn their head into a light bulb.
So much with the Boo brothers because it was like the most stupidest jokes, like dad jokes, and it was so funny.
It was funny. I do quite like simple humour, and that was funny.
One thing I do want to point out with the Boo brothers, have you noticed they're like, oh, ghosts can walk through walls, you can't touch a ghost and everything, but then they go and get their heads stuck in like the lock in the door, or they get stuck together and stuff.
And they can play the
And they
piano.
don't go through. Yeah, and they don't go through the ceiling. Like they get thrown up into the ceiling, but he didn't go through the ceiling, he just got squashed. So how does this work? Are they actually fully ghosts, or are they stuck within the rail and like they're partially ghosts but not fully ghosts? Ghost without a home. It made me cry. We'll get to that later though.
It gets a happy ending, which will be nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, the ghost let them out of that passageway, but again, like we were just saying, it's kind of how can a ghost touch these things, but it can't touch these things, and it's strange. But the next clue takes them to a clock, and kind of one of the ghosts is trying to be like the pendulum thing at the bottom of the clock. And then they're about to get the last clue, and Scrappy gets kidnapped. And the butler steals the diamond, I think, at that point.
Yeah. And he's really happy because he's like, finally, I've got my treasure. This is all I need in life. And he's like, he then disappears for the rest of the movie, I think, until right at the end.
Yeah.
So that kind of ruled him out straight away because it's like, okay, I've got one diamond. You know that I wanted it. I'm happy. And that's the last we saw of him. So
But
it makes me wonder, like, was it a deliberate thing that they just wanted it to be an obvious he's not the ghost?
But then I think it's theorized that he takes the necklace, and I don't think it's fully explained away that he doesn't. So the next clue takes them up to the attic where they find the chest that looks like the one from the 13 Ghosts. Scrappy finds the necklace, and then there's like this floating jacket, which is quite small, so really it's only the size of, say, the butler and not really anyone else. And then they disappear, and do we ever find out who that was?
Wasn't that just Scooby?
I don't think so.
No, it's the... Scooby was trying on some clothes, but he wasn't the floating jacket one.
I mean, there's a lot of weird things in this that we never get an explanation for. Like, we never find out what the dancing pants are about.
We never find out what the wolf was about.
Yeah, what was the wolf about? Was it just a wolf? Huh. I don't know. I guess moving on, because this is kind of whack, actually, now that I think about it.
So, the next clue takes them down to the cellar, where, while they're here... Is the butler called Farquaad, did you say, JayBee?
Yeah, like Shrek, isn't it? Lord Farquaad, it's like...
Well, they dropped the necklace, so we kind of then assume that they were the one in the attic. Scrappy takes it back, Then they go down to the cellar and they find lots of stuff hidden in like a ham thing.
A ham thing?
Isn't it like a...
Oh yeah, the ham.
Yeah.
The ham on the bone. It's a
I must
ham
have fallen
bone.
asleep. I don't remember anything.
And then they like blow a wall up. Quite randomly.
Oh yeah. As you
and-
do in Scooby Doo.
Yeah, you know, like it's not an old house. It's probably, you know, wouldn't have to be preserved and have building regulations and stuff because, I'm too much of a law student. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
'cause
just
nowadays
thinking...
you need planning permission to just put a little window somewhere.
Yeah,
Why
I'm
are they
just thinking that's a
blowing stuff
listed
up?
building. You can't just blow a wall up.
I used to want to blow up some walls.
Oh my god.
No, I wanted a bigger room.
Anyway, so the next clue takes them out to the graveyard where they're looking for a gravestone. Then you get this sequence of Billy shooting and it basically just having a negative effect on the sheriff, so like they end up getting crushed by a tree.
Isn't there another monster in this scene as well?
The bear.
Was there a need for a bear on top of everything else? Like, that could have been the wolf, I'd say. Or maybe, like, because obviously, like, things would have taken time to animate and stuff. It could have been that the wolf was meant to have the role of the bear, and the bear was, you know what I mean, and vice versa. So maybe at the start of the movie, the bear would have been shown in replacement of the wolf. So maybe that's the thing.
I have a slight issue with the whole bear thing, and it's not even got a link with the wolf, actually. It's purely because, so the bear, you know, it seems to be a brown bear, and they're never found in the south because they're only really in the northern areas of, like, America. So, unless did that bear escape from the circus, and it's deciding, you know, I found a nice little cave, I'm going to go get me some honey pots and live the rest of my days out as Winnie the Pooh. Although Winnie the Pooh is yellow, but still.
I mean, I'm glad in hindsight that this isn't the first movie that we decided to review way back when. Because even now, having reviewed like 30 plus Scooby Doo movies, I'm actually at a loss of what to say in between sentences because I could either mention something else wacky that happens in the story, or I can speculate, or I can just continue.
I mean, I guess continuing on with the theme, they're in the graveyard, there's a bit of a trapdoor and there's a skeleton. Shaggy, Scooby and Scrappy fall down into this kind of pit. Scrappy is lifted out and tries to go for help. Then the ape is, I keep calling it an ape, it's a gorilla, I think we said, starts to be really cute. They're like stroking Scooby and Scooby thinks it's Shaggy and he's been all cute to Shaggy. And it's like when I try to be cute with JayBee, like I'll cuddle him and then like I get pushed away. And that's what Shaggy's like in this scene. So you're Shaggy, JayBee.
Why am I Shaggy?
Because I'm cute like Scooby.
Or are you like Daisy May and I'm like Shaggy?
No.
Why not?
No.
And
Because Millie is better.
Yes. I am. But the gorilla's just so cute. They just keep stroking Scooby, and ultimately the gorilla's the reason they get out as well. Like they lift them out and it's cute. Then we go back to the Billy, Daisy Mae and Shaggy dynamic where Shaggy's walking along, Daisy Mae's chasing after him, Billy Bob jumps on Daisy Mae and then goes after Shaggy, so Daisy Mae jumps on Billy Bob and it's just like a good 2-minute sequence.
No, it's fun though.
Of Billy Bob and Daisy Mae just having a wrestling match behind Shaggy.
And Shaggy's like, no one's out to get me, no one's out to get me. I actually love that. If I could get one cell from this movie, it might even be that scene. Just because I like the funny scenes. Or even the Boo Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
You could do that.
Ultimately as well, just after this, they find out the Horseman's not real. So that kind of ticks off one villain a little bit. Sheriff can turn off the horse, so Shaggy kind of gets a bit suspicious of that. And then this is when Scrappy says that they start to feel sorry for the gorilla. Like, oh, you know, they must be lonely, they must be wanting a friend. Imagine if they got found by the skeleton thing and then the skeleton, like, jumped out at the gorilla.
Yeah, but Scrappy annoyed me in this because it was so clear what Shaggy was saying in terms of the sheriff. Like, the sheriff knew that the horse wasn't real, so they must be a suspect. But then it's like almost to increase the runtime, because really I think the movie could have been wrapped up a good 10, maybe 15 minutes like earlier. Scrappy has to be like confused, like, what do you mean, Shaggy? Like, that doesn't mean anything. And it clearly does.
Yeah, after Scrappy's already like suspected so many people. Okay, they then walk in and there's a ghost party going on. The Boo Brothers are hosting a ghost party. Shaggy, I think, then rehires the Boo Brothers, and they're like, okay, we're gonna do better. Then Billy Bob starts shooting the gorilla. And again, I just feel sorry for the gorilla.
I mean,
Yeah.
I just want to give him a hug.
What gun is Billy Bob using? Because he doesn't damage anything besides the sheriff's
tree.
hat.
A full tree. He can knock down a tree.
It's like a lumberjack.
But then, when he shoots the sheriff, it literally just cuts the belt in half. It doesn't do any more damage than that. And it's like, not too sure that adds up.
It's a pea shooter, I think.
Oh.
Although I think that's what they get away with calling like guns nowadays. It's like, oh, he's using a pea shooter. He's shooting peas out at people, but it's actually not. So.
Oh, what a rad dude Billy Bob is.
I'll admit, at this part, I was kind of like, okay, this is a long movie now. I'm starting to feel that this movie maybe didn't need to be so long. Maybe there could have been a couple of less clues, a couple of less ghosts, and a couple of less scenes with Daisy Mae and Billy Bob.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, and then...
It fried my brain, if I'm being honest with you. Because I was woken up, even though it's our anniversary, to do this. And I can't process the movie. I can't do it. Although I would like to see Billy Bob return. That's what I will say.
Okay, maybe.
Because I like the wacky characters, like Lester and stuff.
I think it could be funny to see a Velma and Daisy Mae dynamic, especially Velma in like Mr. Incorporated, where she's in love with Shaggy, just like, get away.
Daisy Mae.
I think it could be funny. Anyway.
Or Googie.
So the next part takes them into the bear's cave, but the bear isn't there anymore. The car appears in there, and one thing I find funny about the car driving itself is it's almost like they know the technology didn't exist that they were talking about, so they just call it a gizmo. And I feel like that's their way of excusing the technology they don't understand that they've made up is just, oh, it's a gizmo.
For all the animation, they've done such a good job considering how old the movie is. There's almost some parts that you can look back as quite like pathetic by today's standards in terms of the actions that it's trying to convey, and it's just so funny that when they unhook the remote control from the car, you just see like this kind of slow pan scene of the skeleton like just staring at the remote and then just throwing it on the floor. It's just I wish that I could have like just been in like the process for these old animations, because it's definitely changed and it probably will continue to change forever. I'd imagine.
So the last couple of scenes, they end up at the pier. The clue they find at the pier takes them to the fireplace. The skeleton overhears that they're going to the fireplace, so they try and stop that. They throw a net over them. The skeleton goes to retrieve the treasure, but this is where the Boo Brothers step up after being fired, and they kind of save the day. The treasure, it's kind of... How do you feel about what happens when they pull the lever, JayBee? You know, like almost like the fruit machine look?
Oh, I liked it. It was like, again, they're kind of owning the movie. Like, they've put in some weird stuff in this film, and so if they're gonna use some of that like kind of weirdness and that kind of creative license to make things a bit more stylized, then I'm all for that. So I thought it was random, but you know, it was fun.
Rihanna, did you like the animation, you know, for the treasure kind of being revealed at the end, so you get like the almost like slot machine like rolling thing, and then all the like gold rushes out?
I did. I really enjoyed that bit. The only thing that really confused me was like because at the beginning, Scooby he was thrown into the or he hid in the fireplace right at the beginning. So that bit threw me off because I was like, oh, it's in the fireplace. Shouldn't he have like noticed something was off? But I mean, he's Scooby and he gets scared easily. He's a sweet little baby that needs to be protected. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. Although I was also kind of expecting, and I don't know, every single time I watch it, I always expect this to happen, but it never does. The Boo brothers to show their faces in that bit, like as instead of it being the cherries, it's the Boo brothers' faces one by one appearing, and then they cause the gold to come out. I think that would have been funny because then scared the guy where he trips and falls and then gets. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. It was funny and it was like a nice little twist.
It was, and it was ultimately unmasked to be kind of who you think's the sheriff, but then it turns out to be their brother. So I think we've kind of seen that happen.
Well, I think that that's a bit unfair because I don't like it when the reveal is something that you couldn't have figured out by yourself. Like, you can theorize that maybe the sheriff has an evil twin or someone that looks like them, but I always like it when you can at least figure it out. Even if it's some throwaway line that like the sheriff had, like, "Oh, I just need to check on my brother," and so I don't know, just something like that. But it was shocking, and I really did expect it to be that little butler dude.
Rihanna, what about you? I mean, I know you said that you instantly didn't trust the sheriff. How did you feel about it being them or like their brother? The little twist.
I'm trying to remember because I think so. My first time I watched it, I was really, really young. But even now, it was still that little bit of an, oh my gosh, he's actually got a brother with a, what I don't know if you guys call it when it's like a mustache like that, but it's like a bad man's mustache, which you can like twiddle, when it's like an evil dude who plays their mustache, like Dick Dastardly.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, he has a brother. But I mean, there was some little clues. Like, I didn't really think he was an authentic. Like, when he came out and he was like, I'm gonna give you a citation, Billy Bob. I was like, a real, like a real sheriff would have like arrested that guy by now for assaulting a policeman. Why haven't you done anything? And so it wasn't an ultimate surprise for me that it was him. But at the same time, it was like, okay, he's actually got a brother. Like, how do we know that they weren't actually secretly working together? He wasn't going to return in another time to, take the gold. That would have been a cool little sequel, actually. We should work on that.
That would be a good sequel. And then they proceed to do some more like explanations. I really don't like the one that Scooby was the ancestor ghost, because I can think of several occasions where that ghost appeared and Scooby was with Shaggy and Scrappy.
I mean, I can't believe that they tried to use that as a genuine like explanation.
It's just not.
Because in the modern movies, for all I'm like, maybe we've gone backwards a bit, it's like that would have just been a joke, you know what I mean? And I like it when the villain comes back at the end, but then it's just revealed to be Scooby and they have a little laugh and that's how it ends.
Or like where they literally just put the villain mask on for a second
that's
to make it a joke.
Stuff, and I enjoy it. But to make that like a whole kind of like, it was Agatha all along, like, oh, Scooby was the man behind the mask, it's like, no.
We saw that ghost twice as they were approaching the house. When they drive through the graveyard, Scooby is in the car with Shaggy and Scrappy, and we see that ghost twice.
Well, it's not just that. I can believe that because it, again, shows up at the end, but it's the kind of mentality behind Scooby doing that. Like, why would they do that? Maybe if they want to pull a prank, I guess. But then, were they really scared at all throughout the movie if they're, like, doing that at the same time?
I mean, Rihanna, what's your thought on this part?
I mean, I kind of expected, especially when, like, we saw the, like, little piece of clothing and Scooby looked at it. And I think because we are so accustomed to seeing Scooby put on the costume for a few minutes. I think, when the Ghost of Beauregard came out on the penny farthing, I kind of knew it was Scooby, and I think he just wanted to scare Scrappy and Shaggy, because why not? I mean, he's Scooby Doo. He can do whatever he wants, and he could bite someone and he would get away with it because he's Scooby Doo. He's an innocent little cinnamon roll, and yeah, I kind of expected it. And I find it a little bit funny, a little bit weird at the same time. But I think he was like, I've had enough of this. We've had Scrappy being very brave and a little bit full of himself. We've had Shaggy being chased around and almost killed. Let's try and, make them laugh a little bit and scare them as well, because it's time for me to shine. I think that was Scooby's mentality.
I think that's good. And ultimately, I think the movie does have a nice conclusion. They leave the house to the Boo brothers, and the diamonds all go to an orphan's charity. And then they see the ghost of the ancestor on the way out, kind of like Shaggy's Showdown, where he gets that kind of it just kind of gets reapplied to him that, he's done what he was meant to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I guess, Rihanna, do you like the ending to the movie, kind of the house been left to the Boo brothers when all they wanted was a home and all that kind of thing?
It was so... just thinking about it's making me want to cry. It was so sweet, and it was a night, because they only mentioned it once, that they were orphan ghosts, that they had no home, they have no family, and then Shaggy was like, well, you know what, you now have a home, and we're donating all of this money, all these jewels, to help human kids have a home of their own. And it was so sweet, and I'm getting all teary just thinking about it. It was so sweet. And imagine if that orphanage went and got the children a Scooby or a Scrappy for themselves to spend time with.
It really is sweet. It's so cute. JayBee, did you like the end of the movie?
I did, because I think at its heart, Scooby should be a positive experience that, if nothing else, if it's one of your darkest days, you can put it on and it's a guaranteed smile, it's a guaranteed good time, you know what I mean? I absolutely despise at this point the kind of more hardcore Scooby purists that are like, this can't happen, that can't happen, if that happens we riot. And it's look, as long as it brings a smile to your face, then I am happy. And I think even though it's a bit convoluted, the fact that they gave the Boo brothers some happiness, and there's also not an element of materialism into it. It's not like Shaggy was like, oh, I've got my inheritance now, we're gonna end in some tropical island on holiday. As fun as that would be, it's oh, we're gonna give it to the orphanage. It's just that positivity was just so nice to see at the end.
JayBee reminded me of something that made me think of something. This is the first movie we've reviewed where Shaggy and Scooby don't need a story arc about a food obsession to exist. It's mentioned that they put food in, they put the first clue in the fridge to make them find it. But ultimately, it wasn't a necessity, and I kind of liked that.
Yeah, I mean, they do like eating, but I guess without Daphne, Fred, Velma, there's almost not time for them to have a scene eating, because then who's gonna do the serious stuff? I guess Scrappy, but there's only
but then
so much
Scrappy's kind of out of control, but he needs them there to kind of constrain it a bit. So I think that does it for the plot, unless anybody has anything else to add.
I guess just in terms of bonus features, this is just some crappy music video. I miss it when they included episodes, or when they put effort into it by doing behind the scenes. But that's it. This is
technically you've not got to that yet, because this was the first ever one.
True.
So you can't say you miss it.
But the music video was crap.
Oh. Okay.
That's
Rihanna,
it.
any other points to add about the movie?
My only thing is that on the VHS and DVD covers, Shaggy is wearing his green shirt and maroon jeans instead of the red shirt and blue jeans, but that was really my only other thing, I think.
I want to
In
run
my
and get our
notes, I didn't.
DVD to see that now.
Yeah, run there. Go.
Okay, I'm not going to be able to hate you for a second because I actually want to go and see that. That's quite cool.
I mean, on the visual that I've done, it looks like the green shirt. I mean, green shirt Shaggy, I think, is a classic, and I think should be the definitive Shaggy. But it is interesting why they've done that, even now, because they've definitely reprinted them to be more modern. Maybe that's how they didn't want to. Well, then again, even, yeah, like you say on the original tape, I don't know why they've done that.
I
Almost
really,
sorry.
I really don't like. Sorry, I'm just saying I really don't like what Warner Brothers have done with the re-releasing of like covers and stuff, because I feel like the original covers were so scary and true to the movie. Instead, it's just like, oh, here's a like for the Boob Brothers, there's like a light blue with a small picture of the Boo Brothers and Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy, and that's it. Whilst the original, it's dark, it kind of builds up the suspense that, oh, hey, it's kind of a scary movie at the same time as being funny. But that was just like a little pet peeve of mine. I just don't like the re-released covers of anything, like The Witch's Ghost or Zombie Island. It frustrates me. Yeah.
Yeah, very simplistic, and also not. There's nothing compared to how it was. And again, this is a classic movie. I remember watching this on the old. Is it a VCR? What plays the VHS? Yeah, but what plays that? Is that a VCR?
Isn't it just a VHS player?
Probably. But I just I want to find them. I want to buy one because I want to see this in its purest form.
I want to say, could it be that they did the concept art for this before filming it, and that's why the cover's the way it is? Like
Potentially.
they've used the like typical look to begin with, and then thought, okay, we're kind of heading a different route here. In case it doesn't work out doing the movie thing, maybe we should try and make it less affiliated.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, one can only speculate at this point.
Anyway, I think that kind of wraps up everything that we had to say about the movie. So as always, we're going to head to the ratings. So JayBee, as always, you're first. Scooby Doo meets the Boo Brothers, smash or pass?
So I did enjoy this. I had a good time. Very random, but lots of laughs. And like I said, as long as it gives me a smile, as long as it gives me some positivity, then I think it's a good movie. Although, I think unless we were going to do another watch through, I wouldn't rush to put it on again. I don't have a great desire to watch it, particularly. So I don't know, I think this is controversial, but I just think just because I think this is the kind of part where the movie format for Scooby was still yet to get its footing. They were kind of, oh, a movie is this long, so we're going to have to put this in, and that in, and that in, and that in to spread the runtime. I think I might have to regretfully pass this one.
Oh, wow.
What about you, Melanie?
Oh my god.
I was going to say I agreed with everything you were saying right up until the end. Like, I think it was a fun movie. It was really chaotic. There was a lot of things that weren't resolved, like the wolf and things. Maybe a lot that didn't need to be in there. Like I said, in the end, I felt like it was getting quite repetitive. So, but I would say that this was far from the best Scooby movie, but I'd also say that it wasn't the worst. Ultimately, we say smash or pass as if we'd watch it again. I know that I've watched this movie at least 10 times. And throughout the rest of my life, be it with JayBee, be it when I have children, I'm going to end up watching this movie at least another 10 times. So, and I didn't remember how much I loved the gorilla. I don't think I did love it that much the first time I watched it, but just this rewatch, it was so cute. And so for the gorilla alone, this has to be a smash. It was just so cute. And like I said, I will end up watching this at least another 10 times again in the future. So yeah, JayBee and I are disagreeing today. I think that could be the first time you said pass and I've said smash,
But, well, no. Yeah, I was just going to say Alien Invaders, but that was me saying...
I said pass, you said smash for that, right?
Yeah.
So, Rihanna, kind of the one that's like deciding which way this vote goes, whether this movie's a smash or a pass. We've got a draw so far, so Scooby Doo meets the Boo Brothers, would you say smash or pass?
Oh gosh, I'm feeling the pressure. It's like one of those game shows, or like Britain's Got Talent or America's Got Talent, where it's like I make the deciding vote on who goes home. Okay. Um, so this is a childhood favorite of mine. I'm getting on now with age. I'm getting older, and I still, when I watch Scooby Doo, any Scooby Doo, it makes me so happy. And unlike some people, I guess, like, I'm possibly one that, I'm a huge Scooby Doo fan, and I personally haven't come across a Scooby Doo movie that I wouldn't rewatch. And, I know some people would be like, oh, that's just because you're claiming, but I'm not claiming anything. Like, I'm not trying to make out that I'm a big Scooby Doo fan. I genuinely enjoyed it all. And, I remember watching this growing up, coming home from school, and it was on during the half terms and the school breaks, and it was on Boomerang. It just gives me such like warm and fuzzy memories, and watching it again, as I said, I watch it at least once a year, and I enjoy everything. There's some really random parts in it which, you know, some things still go over my head. I'll admit that. But I really enjoyed it. I loved the gorilla. Scrappy wasn't irritating. I really did like Scrappy in this one for some weird reason, which I know some people be like, but Scrappy's amazing. I just personally don't like Scrappy too much, but I did in this movie. And I adored Scooby as always. I think we saw another layer to Shaggy. The gorilla, I love him. I wish they made a plush toy of him. I would 100% buy that to just have in my collection. I'm going to watch it again no matter what, because, talking about it, rewatching it, it makes me smile. So it's a smash from me.
That's amazing. So, with 2 smashes and 1 pass, this movie is a smash. Which is amazing. I do really enjoy this movie. And I'm looking forward to just continuing the series and just the next movie. But before we kind of get onto what that is, we have the community news section. So I guess me first, the only thing I can think of is the people that did I can't remember what the company was called, but one of the Comic-Cons send-in for Grey Delisle's signature has been posted out.
Yeah, Celebworks. We just got an email from them saying that that's on the way, so I'm so excited. And that means that we'll have an entire complete set with the exception of Velma pretty soon.
We'll have 2 signed Freds, a signed Shaggy, a signed Scooby, and like you say, we're just missing Velma.
Oh, I think if we were to get a Velma one, obviously besides Linda Cardellini, I think BJ Ward would be such a cool signature to have on a
Kate
Velma.
Micucci.
Oh god. Yeah, I mean, it has to happen eventually, but as long as I don't need to meet them in person, I think
JayBee!
I'll be okay.
Don't
my
say
God.
that.
What about Mindy Cohn?
Oh yes, Mindy. Oh, Mindy Cohn would be awesome to get. Oh, yes, I'm happy. Even Stephanie Abruzzo, who was the voice of them in the Mystery Man, I think would be kind of fun.
What about the one from Mystery Begins?
What, Haley?
Yes.
I get the impression that Haley would not want to sign that, but I'd take it. Obviously, yeah. Because Haley's become iconic, and I've actually watched a few of their music videos, and they're actually pretty good. Pretty good. Good stuff. Would you do Haley Funko Pop? Who else has been Velma? Obviously Nicole Jaffe, but I think they're unreachable. And who is it that played Velma in Daphne and Velma? Is it Sarah Gilman? I think it is Sarah Gilman. They would be cool.
Also, Gina Rodriguez from Scoob.
Yes. Oh, is Mindy Kaling playing Velma, or are they just writing for Velma? Because Mindy Kaling would be a really cool Velma Funko Pop to get eventually. There's a lot. And that adds up. That's why I've got an issue with some of the other community news coming up. In that Velma, Daphne, and to a lesser extent Fred in Funko Pop form are actually stupidly expensive for what is essentially an item that should be enjoyed by kids. Like, you know what I mean?
The Velma one's like £80.
Well, this is what I have an issue with, because say if you're a female Scooby fan and you're in like the UK, right? Even in the US, but in the UK, how much money is it to get your favourite character in Funko Pop form? You know, there's...
Daphne about 60, Velma's about 80.
And that's just... I think that's wrong. And with the next bit of community news, this company called like Mitso, something beginning with M, have announced like a premium range of Scooby figures, which is really cool. But then again, we've just had these statues be announced. Now we've got these premium figures. And because I'm the last person that'll claim to be a diehard Scooby fan, I'm literally just some geezer on a nostalgia trip, and I'm absolutely loving it. But like, these are like, these should be always accessible to kids. Like, if, you know, a kid could put it on their Christmas list and a parent could go and get a Daphne and Velma Fred figure for £10, maybe £15. I don't understand why the majority of companies are just like, hey, we're gonna have a premium statue and we're gonna sell it for 150. Like, yeah, just stop. That's my rant over, because it angers me.
Any other community news, JayBee?
Not that I can think of. I guess. No, I'm good. I'm actually quite happy. Believe it or not.
Okay, Rihanna, is there anything that you've seen community-wise for Scooby?
I mean, it may apply to Scooby, but I mean, now technically we're on to Thursday, but yesterday/today, as of recording, it's JayBee and Millie's anniversary. Like, I feel like that's
Yay!
huge. And happy anniversary, because you guys are the cutest, and I love you guys, and I feel like everyone should be wishing you happy anniversary and sending you lots of love and
Aw.
hugs virtually. And yeah, to many more anniversaries. And
Thank
I'm
you.
holding up my glass of water to cheers you guys.
Woo,
because-
I've got my water bottle too.
I mean, it should be an event, to be all honest. It should be like a community event. But I think
It
because we're so
should.
criminally underrated,
You guys are iconic.
I
Like, come
agree.
on.
And I think we're also collectively, as a team, you know, you, me, smASH, Millie, I reckon we're the hardest working as well. out
Oh,
there.
God.
But I think we're underrated because we don't pander to like a kind of infantile audience. Like, I'll just say stuff, right? Like,
Oh, you've been saying stuff all this episode.
but I think that's why. But again, I
Yeah.
think in time it'll be like Van Gogh or Van Gogh or however you say it. I
What
reckon
do you-
once I pass on, they're gonna go, huh, yeah, that painting wasn't that bad. I'll hang that up.
News for Rihanna, what JayBee has said is if he thinks that we do have enough concerns, he'll sit out of the 2002 Smash or Bar.
I will, yeah. I'll watch the movie.
What?
But I'll sit
Like,
out.
he understands that we sometimes think that what he says is a bit out there, a bit inappropriate. And so he said that if we all felt strongly enough, he'd sit out on the 2002 one because he admits things could be said.
Okay. That. Are you okay, JayBee?
Look. Just have me out of the picture, and have you and Smash and Millie just have an hour-long rant about the 2002 movie not being suitable for kids. I reckon like ratings would just go sky high, because that's all. You know what I mean? It's just
JayBee, like,
I'm original.
the channel is called JayBee and Millie. We can't. Oh, I'm sad now.
I'm sure he
Yes.
won't miss speaking about Sarah Michelle Gellar for the world.
That's true.
Yeah, but we
he'll
might
like
get,
be like, oh yeah, no, you can cut me out, and then suddenly appear being like, what did you just say about Daphne's outfit? What did you just say about this scene? Are you kidding me? She was incredible.
We might even
feel like that's
need
accurate.
a part 1 and a part 2, because I could speak about that movie for hours and hours and hours.
Believe it or not, you saying that you want a Daphne Funko Pop for every new outfit isn't going to take hours and hours.
Well, no, because interestingly enough, and this is like a sneak peek, this is going to be the hottest take I ever make on the channel.
Oh, God.
But in terms of my, like, kind of tier list of live-action Scooby movies, like, the one that has the most Daphne outfits, Monsters Unleashed, I would say that's bottom for me.
I guess while we're speaking about the live action...
But that's the one everyone loves, but I think, to me, that's just bottom. I prefer Lake Monster and Mystery Begins to Monsters Unleashed. And I know Smash will rip my head off, like, when that review comes around.
I guess while we're speaking about live actions, our reveal for the next live action interview for the 20th anniversary of 2002 movie will be coming out in a few days on our social platforms.
And it's going to be amazing. So the first of, is it going to be March or April?
How much are you going to let me say right now? Because what I want to say is that this is the next one's really exciting.
You can say everything except the name. Not that people are going to be like, oh my gosh, that person. So don't get your hopes up in terms of like, oh, it's like someone that we see necessarily on screen. This is still very much an element of behind the scenes, but it is, yeah.
So can I say then, the next interview, it's fair to say we learned things about 2002 and what it was meant to be and what it had the potential to be, and deleted scenes, things that were removed and things that were edited, like, that we never ever expected to find out. Like, pretty much everything that 2002 was meant to be in its first screening, and it's incredible. Like, I never thought I was going to know what was included in the original
take. I feel
take.
so lucky to have been there in that interview. Like, that, oh my lord. S tier. That's what I'm going to say. Because I know some people, I think on Twitter, were like, oh, the David Newman interview was really cool, but they didn't know too much about Scooby. And I think I'll get into this in more detail once we do, like, a Q&A episode. But yeah, you know what I mean? Hand on heart, fine.
I think
that was the perfect pilot, I think, to the kind of 2002 celebrations in a way, because from there it only doesn't necessarily go up in quality, because I'd say the stuff that David Newman had to say was fascinating, but in terms of Scooby knowledge, we're just going to keep on going up and up. It's awesome.
I feel like, see, JayBee has had to like hold back a little bit since recording this interview, because we've been recording these in advance. And he saw on, was it Instagram or Twitter a little while ago? And this is, I feel like, the last thing I can kind of say on this interview. People saying, like, I wish people had stopped talking about what the 2002 movie was meant to be, or what was recorded, because it was only ever a concept, it never existed. This interview confirms that it existed and exactly what existed within it, and it's just incredible.
Yeah, I felt like going through, like, all the replies to this kind of, like, newsfeed saying, wrong, 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 wrong. But that's it.
And ultimately, when that movie comes out, he is so doing that, right?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to tag people and say, ha,
you're wrong. Check
in your
this
eye,
out.
guy. In your eye.
So yeah, that's literally a few days away from announcement, and then that'll come out on the 14th of March, and I'm very excited.
Me too. And I guess some giveaways coming out as well.
Ooh, yes. We need to check in with Smash, but we should have had some stuff posted. So we'll be doing giveaways soon, so again, like, future videos, subscribe for those, and check out social media too.
Well, I think this episode has been whack enough already. But I guess next we will be talking about Scooby Doo and the Ghoul School, which was released in 1988, which I am personally very much looking forward to.
It was one of my favourites growing up.
I think mine too.
So no,
Kate Melton's as well.
Ooh.
Ooh.
We could get her in on this.
Oh, there's so many. I'm not spoiling stuff there.
I want Kate Melton to be a guest, like, all the time, every week.
Yeah.
But she's too busy, I think.
It'll be nice to see if we can have her as a guest very soon. And we'll leave the episode there. So yeah, like we were saying, subscribe for all the upcoming stuff. Check out the social medias, links are all in the description. And yeah, next video next week. Go school! Woo!